Yeah. So the four pillars we talked about, right? The cloud, the mobility, integration, and analytics. Right. So you already mentioned about the cloud. We got some experience working with you guys back in 2015 when you were doing that master data management across the enterprise exercise. I guess you had a new middleware and you were, streamlining enterprise integration from a master data management perspective. And then the fourth one is analytic. What I would really like to have the audience hear from you, what is the balance or what is the connection between these four pillars that you saw as part of the digital strategy at PCL?
Yeah, it's a great question. Let me try to frame that in a story, if you will. So we needed to get rid of that legacy IT infrastructure. So the first pillar was the cloud. So how do we free up people to do something else to support the business? So moving traditional infrastructure to the cloud and retooling and reskilling people was step one. And what do we need to retool and reskill people? Well, one, we needed to change the paradigm in which they operated in. The cloud was part of that, but we also ended up freeing up resources to do other things. And the key one for me was, how do we free up resources to support the business from a mobility perspective? So I made the point earlier that we had a lot of paper. There's a lot of paper processes in historically in construction, and so we wanted to enable mobility through the use of smartphones and tablets to allow people to do quality inspections and safety inspections as two examples in the field. Today, obviously, we do a heck of a lot more than that, as we've here we are 7, 8, 9 years later. But that was a key business enabler. So the next piece of that was, geez, how do we make sure that those applications and services are relatively seamless so that the data that we're collecting from them and how people use them is relatively straightforward, and we have a low level of training required to get people to understand and use and adopt that technology. Because it's when you're looking at an industry that's one of the oldest in humankind, even if you just look at the several decades that you and I've been alive, construction processes don't alter and change that much. So when you're injecting technology into that equation, you got to get some outputs and some advantages from that. And so we've seen data as an advantage in terms of what can we do with that data? Is there certain things that we're continuously doing that are not safe? Is there certain sub-trades or certain processes or certain things that we're doing as a general contractor that disable our ability to deliver the level of quality that we want? And so lots of information can be gathered from the data. When you have it electronically, you can sort it, you can analyze it, and work with it. When it's on a piece of paper and goes in a filing cabinet, you lose a lot of the great information that you're collecting out in the field. And so digitizing those processes was key. And so that's why mobility became a key component of our technology strategy, to make sure that, one, we could get the information and data easily without people walking back and forth or filling out paper that ends up in a filing cabinet. So collect it digitally through the use of mobile devices with an interface that's simple. And then using that data as a competitive advantage to look for areas that we can improve and enhance quality, safety, and operational efficiency. And so, those four technologies together really gave us our core foundation for really some of the things that we're doing today with the other advanced technologies that we're enabling at the workplace of construction.
Perfect. And then let's talk a little bit about the emerging tech, right? So when you started that journey, IoT was starting to get a little mainstream, right? It was coming out of the labs, and instead of just the science experiments, it was starting to look a more viable business solution, right? So how was your approach towards data and emerging tech? Like, how did you see your data and sort of analytics strategy alongside IoT and machine learning?
Yeah, I mean, it really boils down to, how do we, one, reduce risk at the workplace of construction? How do we enhance quality? And how do we improve safety? Those ingredients are key for us to be a premier contractor. They're key ingredients that building owners that we're constructing for want. They want a quality product. They want it on time. They want it within the financial commitments that have been made, and they want a great asset to manage. And so we were looking at, it's really that collaboration between the field, so our workers in the field, and the technology group, to say, working together. So rewinding a bit, when I joined the organization, we were called Systems and Technology. I renamed the group in that about 2 years into Business Technology, because we needed to realign ourselves of thinking of the legacy IT, where we came from, which is a bunch of IT people supporting infrastructure in the background. No one knows what they're doing, to a business technology group that actively works with the business on enabling tech. And so that foundation that we talked about, those 4 pillars, enabled us to go into the IoT space, because now we had a great backbone of cloud and the infrastructure to support it. As you noted, it was emerging tech, but the business said, geez, we have a lot of risk on a job site. And the first one we started with, ironically, and I didn't think much of it at the time, was temperature and humidity. But temperature and humidity wreaks a lot of havoc on things like paint finishing, hardwood flooring, drywall. Rework is costly. Insurance claims are costly. So we started with temperature and humidity at a couple of jobs right here in Edmonton, Alberta, where our North American headquarters is, and quickly discovered that, 5 years ago when we started the journey, boy, what happens if we end up with 20 IoT sensors several years down the road? We can't have a whole bunch of point solutions. So we actually ended up building a product that we call Job Site Insights, that is a centralized platform for harvesting all IoT data, specifically for sensors that we put in the field. And today we have over 20 sensors on that platform. But that journey from temperature and humidity then led us to look at the big risks that we had in the organization. And the next biggest one was water. Our vice president of risk management would tell you that probably every single construction job has a water problem. It's just the question of, is it this big or is it this big? But every construction project generally has a water problem. So we started looking at other categories of risk in our business, and then adding sensory that could reduce those risks, improve quality, to enable us not to have rework, that allows us not to miss schedule and deadlines, and keep customers happy. And so we continue on that journey today. Certainly COVID had an impact on the advancement of IoT and probably every vertical business, but certainly construction, because we were focused on building. But today, we're detecting things like sound, vibration, tilt. We have in situ concrete sensors that understand concrete maturity and strength. And we're not developing those sensors per se. We're letting the IT industry develop the expertise in those sensors. And what we're doing is really focused on using great sensors that are ruggedized for construction and integrating those sensors into our platform, so we can continue to advance the data that we collect at the workplace of construction to make those critical business decisions that allow us to enhance safety, quality, operational efficiency, and reduce risk.